It is the opening Sunday of the 2024 NFL season, and it's time to talk some San Francisco 49ers. You're watching the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. Chase Sr. here with you, no matter where you are, how you're tuned in. I appreciate you for taking time to watch today's show. Just want to pass along some Niners news, notes, analysis going into Monday Night Football, the opener for San Francisco at Levi Stadium against the New York Jets. Opening Sunday of the NFL season, as I said, it's beautiful. I have a couple of screens up, watching some games, watching NFL Red Zone. Football is back, and it is absolutely awesome. All right, let's begin here with talking about some bad news that the New York Jets have received over the weekend. The Jets, this offseason, and really over the last couple of offseasons, have put an emphasis on building a win-now roster with the hope of finally making it to the playoffs, ending their long playoff drought, and trying to compete for a championship. They will, though, begin the season on Monday night without their biggest offseason acquisition in Pro Bowl edge rusher Haason Reddick, who over the last 4 years has 10-plus sacks in each season. He has been holding out for a new contract. He still has not reported to the team. He's the only player in the NFL still holding out up to this point. And yesterday, head coach Robert Saleh, who Niner fans are very familiar with, the former Niners defensive coordinator, acknowledged that Haason Reddick is not going to play in this game, and he has been placed on the reserve did not report list. They put him on that at the start of training camp. He's still on that, but he is not going to be activated to face the San Francisco 49ers at Levi Stadium, and this is important for a couple of reasons, right? The Niners' offensive line is a question mark. We're going to talk about Trent Williams coming up here a little bit later, but Trent Williams and Jalen Moore might have to have a rotation at that left tackle position going up against the Jets. This Jets defense is really good. Their defensive front is pretty loaded. Their linebacking core is fantastic. They have one of the top corners in the game in Sauce Gardner. They're sound at that safety position, and they're going to be without Haason Reddick, who makes that defense even better. And Haason Reddick is a player who you have to account for on every single snap that he's on the field, because he can come screaming in off that edge with speed, with twitch, and is one of the better sack producers in the National Football League. And what a situation for the New York Jets all throughout this offseason. New York trading for Reddick on March 29th. They sent a conditional 2026 third-round pick to the Philadelphia Eagles. And a reason why Reddick is looking for a new deal, very similar to the situations with Trent Williams and Christian McCaffrey for San Francisco. He's due to make $14.25 million, but it's non-guaranteed for that base salary, and he's in the final year of his contract. So he did his introductory news conference on April 1st and has not returned to the team facility since then, because he is very upset he has not received a long-term contract extension. So bad news for the Jets, good news for the San Francisco 49ers as far as the matchup goes and the game planning. As for the Niners injury report going into Monday Night Football, Christian McCaffrey is questionable. Aaron Banks is questionable. Talanoa Hufanga is doubtful. Yetur Gross-Matos and D. Winters are out. Let's talk about that injury report in depth here. So all signs do point to Christian McCaffrey playing in this game. He is listed on the injury report as questionable with a calf and Achilles issue. And I've talked about McCaffrey a couple of times here on the show this week. I think it's just very important for the Niners and Christian McCaffrey to exercise caution for a couple of reasons. He's a 28-year-old running back. Last year, he led the NFL in touches. Since the trade from Carolina, the Niners have used him a lot. If you want to use a basketball term, usage rate, his usage rate has been very, very high. I mean, the Niners have pretty much ran him into the ground the last year and a half. And while he had more than 2,000 all-purpose yards and won NFL Offensive Player of the Year, and he was top 5 in MVP voting, he was banged up at the end of last year with a calf injury, which Kyle Shanahan said yesterday on Saturday, this injury is very similar to that. Now, he was able to play in the divisional round, in the NFC Championship game, and in the Super Bowl with that calf injury, but the fact that this is now repeating itself from last year is a little bit of a concern. And the Niners signed Christian McCaffrey to a contract extension this offseason. He's signed with the team through 2027. They gave him a lot of guaranteed money. His average annual salary is going to be $19 million per year as you reset the running back market once again. And we know that you do not mess around with an Achilles ailment. So I'm worried about this injury lingering, getting worse, and then Christian McCaffrey missing extended time as compared to him maybe being able to rest and you just handing the keys to Jordan Mason as your RB1 against New York, who I think is a really talented running back, maybe the most improved player on this football team, and he's capable of carrying the workload for San Francisco against the Jets defense last year, which at times did struggle against the run. So something to monitor here. The financial incentive is obviously looming large here for the Niners. We know that Christian McCaffrey loves football. He's so dedicated to the game, but I want to see Christian McCaffrey fresh. I want to see Christian McCaffrey playing throughout the duration of this contract. I don't want to see him go down with the really severe injury. As for the other players on the injury list for San Francisco, Aaron Banks coming off that pinky surgery. You do not want Nick Sakel playing at left guard. So if Aaron Banks can play in this game, that's huge for the Niners. New York led by Quinnen Williams at defensive tackle and Javon Kinlaw, very good along the interior. Talanoa Hufanga doubtful. That's expected for him to come back week 1. I know that's what he wanted to do, but he tore his ACL at the end of November. So exercise caution here. They didn't put him on IR to start the year, so they do expect him to come back in the first month of the year. Maybe next week against the Vikings, who tore apart the New York Giants today. Hufanga's status will increase from like doubtful to maybe questionable, and then he can progress from there. And then Yetur Gross-Matos, who suffered that knee sprain against the Las Vegas Raiders in the preseason finale, still not ready to go. I wonder if Sam Okawanu is going to be elevated from the practice squad. We'll see. And then D. Winter's also out. Probably wasn't going to be a part of this Niners linebacker rotation. Next up, will we see Trent Williams rotated with Jalen Moore on Monday night? So Trent Williams signing that renewed, redone, reworked contract, which gives him some guaranteed money, still keeps him under contract for the next 3 years. This year makes him the highest paid NFL offensive lineman in the game for 2024. Signs that deal this past week, and he's been ramping up, trying to get ready for this game. Now, the Niners did tweet something, a video that included Trent Williams like preparing for Monday night. That tells me that he's going to play, but is he going to rotate with Jalen Moore just because he hasn't been able to ramp up the conditioning level? This is something interesting that we're also going to monitor here. Chris Forster talked about it over the weekend and said, I've tried to purposely let Jalen just rep the left side because I don't know. Is it going to be a rotation? I don't know. We'll see how Trent does after tomorrow, Saturday, see exactly what happens. Hopefully Trent can play it out. If he can't, Jalen definitely has had a good camp and he's ready to go. Pretty big drop-off from Trent Williams to Jalen Moore. We know that. Kyle Shanahan saying, you got to watch it. You got to talk to them. I haven't done this too much with a tackle. Offensive linemen are different with rotating and stuff like skill positions. It also seems weird to just watch Trent sitting on the sideline next to us. And that would be weird, but it would be understandable. He's a 36-year-old left tackle who looks to be in great shape. But I was talking with Larry Krueger on his show on Friday as I join him for my weekly hit every Friday. And he had put out a YouTube video on his channel earlier this week, and he said, look, like Trent Williams and Brandon Ayuk were on the field, but they looked a little gassed. There is nothing that replicates a real training camp practice, live game action, and a preseason game. And Ayuk, Trent Williams, they haven't gotten that. So is there going to be a rotation at left tackle? We'll certainly see. Would not be surprising to me. Will we see Brandon Ayuk get limited snaps? That could be a thing as well with Chris Conley getting sprinkled in there. Chris Conley did have a really good training camp. So that is something that we will certainly be looking out for Monday night. As for other news across the NFL, how about this? The Dallas Cowboys have made Dak Prescott the richest player in the history of the NFL. They have signed him to a 4-year contract worth $240 million, $60 million per year. And now Dak becomes the first player in NFL history to make $60 million in average annual salary. Obviously, I think this is good news for San Francisco. Dak is 73-41 in his career. and he's won a lot of ball games. The only sub 500 regular season that he's had was in 2020 when he went 2-3 and he suffered that nasty season-ending injury. Last year, after leading the league in picks, he was really good, a borderline MVP candidate. And throughout his career, he's thrown 202 touchdowns and 74 picks. But what has he done when it matters? He's 2-5 in his playoff career. He hasn't beaten San Francisco in his playoff career. He consistently shows up small in big games, and you never really take him seriously in the biggest of moments. And while he's had regular season success against the Niners, San Francisco has really just owned him in the playoffs from 2021 and 2022, and then the regular season in 2023. I will say, for the Cowboys, they really had no choice when you're in quarterback purgatory and in search of a quarterback, and you're just kind of in that mediocre area. It's a bad place to be. So what are the Dallas Cowboys' other options? Like Cooper Rush is their QB2. Trey Lance, who threw 5 picks in the preseason finale, he's their QB3. You're not going to go out in free agency and find a better option than Dak Prescott. But for the Cowboys to be a rival of the Niners and to be an NFC counterpart, you know that Dak is going to be with that team for the foreseeable future. I think it's good news for San Francisco here. So wanted to hop on the microphone, talk some Niners on this Sunday. I'm going to go back into my living room, couple of screens, watch the rest of the slate. It's awesome, and I'll be back in the studio tomorrow.